Hey folks, it's Patriot Nurse, and in today's segment we're going to discuss what happened this weekend at the Red Hen restaurant in Lexington, Virginia. So this is kind of an intro and I guess a great classic case study in the idiocy and inconsistency of liberalism. In order to be a good leftist / liberal, modern liberal, you have to embrace two mutually exclusive points. On one side, private property is sacrosanct. You don't have to serve anybody you don't want to. Unless you're a conservative, unless you're a Christian, unless you're an Orthodox Jew, unless you are on the conservative end of things. And then you're a racist, xenophobic, blah, 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 hate label of the week. If you don't serve the privileged groups that even though they constitute 2% of the population, somehow have more, better, superior rights than everybody else. So the little red hen, I should call it the red hen, but in my mind it's the little red hen. The red hen co-owner, Stephanie, what's her name, Wilkinson, whatever. Not really too concerned about pronouncing that, you know what's name right. She basically, her side of the story was that Sarah Huckabee Sanders and company showed up to the restaurant, and her wait staff, some of them were concerned and felt uncomfortable. They felt threatened by having a chick in the restaurant eating. She's not holding a freaking political meeting. She's getting there. She's showing up to have something to eat, for heaven's sakes. But Miss Wilkinson just decided that she didn't want to host the mouthpiece of hate at her restaurant. So in order to nullify hate, she perpetuated it herself. She perpetuated it by asking Miss Sanders to leave. Keep in mind, like, she's not a disruptive guest. She isn't doing anything wrong. She's just showing up, and by virtue of her employer and what she does, you know, for a living, she was asked to leave because she's a mouthpiece of hate. I mean, give me a freaking break, you know. Isn't it funny how the left right now is defending all of this as some sort of private property right hill to die on? You know, like, it's your private property and you have the right to serve who you want to and whatever. It's like, wait a minute, where the heck were you guys when the whole bake the cake issue came up? So let me get this straight. Your private property and your business is private property unless you believe in certain precepts, unless your religion is you know, not ultimately leftist and like redacted and modernized. Okay, whatever. I think it's just a classic example, folks, of how desperate they're becoming. And so what they're doing right now is resulting to classic Bolshevist agitating tactics. Maxine Waters, who is actually, you know, James Brown undercover, just figured I'd let you all know that. Maxine Waters, also known as James Brown. The Walking Dead version of James Brown. Maxine Waters is calling on people to to agitate, to disturb the peace, by the way, to show up at, you know, different people's houses, you know, who are part of the government for doing their job, you know. And by the way, not violating the Constitution. Just thought I'd throw that part in there, which Maxine Waters loves to talk about doing regularly. She's encouraging people to show up and disturb these people's peace and stand outside of their homes with bullhorns and essentially destroy the peace and comfort of the entire neighborhood, not just of the individuals in question, but also the entire neighborhood, ahead of the midterms, etc., because God is on their side. Maxine Waters, that godless heathen, God is somehow on her side, right? It's really fascinating to me just to kind of watch the progression, or I guess I should say the degression, you know, the spiraling of the left. And I expect it. You know, they're getting more and more desperate because in their minds, they will not face the facts that their ideology that has been tried and practiced, you know, since Marx and Engels got together absolutely sucks. It's killed hundreds of millions of people worldwide, and freedom-minded individuals don't want anything to do with it, myself included. And I guess, folks, the point of this video, like, just because President Trump won the election, that doesn't mean these people are going to accept it, okay? Like, our founding fathers, Jefferson, Adams, Washington, like our founding fathers are all about law and order. Their founding fathers, Lenin, like Marx, Engels, Trotsky, they're not about law and order. They're about absolute destruction, tearing down law and order to facilitate mob rule run by them, to line their pockets, to give them more power and cronyism. That's what they do. And it's starting to spread. It's starting to spread from more than just the bastions of liberalism in the Beltway, in the coast, in the cities, where the cancer that is Marxism typically grows all around the world. Not in the countrysides, mind you, mostly in cities, right? Where people have an expectancy that government will provide services for them, always at the cost of their neighbor, It's spreading. It's spreading. And so I see that there is this steady acceleration, right, of these Bolshevist tactics. Make no mistake, guys, just because President Trump won the election, these people they're not classy individuals. They're not. Many of them have grown up in a vacuum, completely devoid of any solid moral principles other than covetousness and envy. You see something somebody else has, take it from them. Why? Because they clearly couldn't have earned it. Because after all, there's no way that they could be smarter, more effective, capable, or more ingenuitive than me. So I'm going to take their stuff and call it fair, and call it just, and call it godly and liberative. Yeah. That's the story of Maxine Waters. That's the story of Red Hen. And that's the story of the left. They will, in order to further their points, embrace two mutually exclusive standards. And then tell you that the law is for you and not for them. So that's where we're at right now. All the more important reason to be with like-minded people, y'all. To be with people who share your values, who share your perspective on life. All the more reason to be self-sufficient and independent as best as possible, man. The problems that plague us as a nation, and honestly, right now, the entire world is seeing this. I think that's probably because of the rise in communication ability, that historically many movements would have been isolated geographically to different regions, primarily because of lack of mobility and lack of communication between countries. But now we're starting to see trends globally transport back and forth faster than they ever could have before. So it pays to be ready. I hope it was helpful for y'all. If you enjoyed the video, I hope you'll subscribe to me. You can also support me on Patreon and follow me on Facebook. I got training classes, y'all, to get people ready, medically speaking, and that's important. It's important. It's probably the least focused on, most neglected area of prepping, but you got to have it. You absolutely have to have it. I hope it was helpful for y'all. Have a great week. For now, it's ThePatriotNurse signing off, and I'll see y'all later. Bye.